When the hoofbeats echo, even the heavens seem to hold their breath. In the ancient verses of Revelation, where seals break like splintered bone, 4 riders rise from divine judgment. Born from visions where Jewish seers glimpsed the world's end and Christian prophets penned fire, the horsemen of the apocalypse, conquest, war, famine, and death are not just echoes of scripture. They are eternal, their hooves a scar on the earth across centuries of ash and ambition. In Babylon's fall, in plague-stricken Europe, in fields starved by greed, their shadows endure. Not merely myth, not only prophecy, they are mirrors held up to mankind, hunger for power and the ruin it brings. Each rider bears a truth of victory that turns to dust, of blood that silences peace, of hunger that devours nations, and of death that claims it all. This is their saga, etched into the heart of history, a warning not of a distant apocalypse, but of the choices that thunder beneath us still. The first seal breaks, and a white horse strides forth, its rider cloaked in dread majesty. Crowned with a victor's laurel, he carries a bow, his gaze a silent promise of dominion or decay. In time-worn scrolls, he is Conquest, the herald of rising empires, his steed trampling the fallen beneath banners of glory. Yet others name him Pestilence, the quiet scourge whose breath kindles fever in the marrow. His form is radiant, deceptive, a light that blinds before it burns. In the 14th century, his shadow fell as the Black Death, a specter that devoured half of Europe. Cities fell silent, their streets haunted by grief. Carts rolled through the night, heaped with the dead. Graves opened wide beneath moonless skies. His gallop never ceased, however. In 1918, the Spanish flu bore its mark. Millions fell in a global silence, and in our own time as well, his breath stirred again, locking nations behind doors, emptying streets, unraveling lives with an invisible hand. Whether as a crowned conqueror or creeping sickness, this rider reveals the price of ambition and power, a truth carved into the skin of centuries, where glory and ruin ride side by side, the white horse always pressing forward. The second seal splits, and a red horse thunders forth, its rider wreathed in flame and fury. Clad in crimson, he wields a great sword, its edge forged to cleave peace from the hearts of men. This is war, the horseman of carnage, whose steed's hooves strike sparks from stone and rivers from blood. His gaze burns like funeral pyres, igniting hatred where harmony once dwelled. In 410 AD, his shadow fell over Rome as Visigoths breached her gates, toppling temples and choking streets with the slain. Centuries later, his blade drew again trenches across Europe in World War I, where men drowned in mud and wire, their screams lost to the thunder of guns. Even now, his gallop echoes in missile fire over the Middle East, in shattered cities, in mothers' laments beneath rubble and smoke. From siege towers to drone strikes, his presence endures, feeding on rage, ambition, and the illusion of control. War's legacy is not a wound, but a scar, a reminder carved deep in the souls of nations. Peace is like a candle in the wind, and the Red Rider waits, sword in hand, ready for the next gust. The third seal shatters, and a black horse stalks forth, its rider a wraith of hollow hunger. Gaunt, hollow-eyed, he clutches a pair of scales, measuring grain with merciless precision as distant voices wail for bread. This is Famine, the horseman who starves the world, his steed's tread grinding harvests into ash. His shadow is heavy, a veil of one that spares neither crown nor cradle. In the Great Famine of 1315 to 1317, his hand gripped Europe as ceaseless rains drowned the fields. Crops failed, markets collapsed, and villages gnawed bark and bone to survive. Cities dimmed under skies that yielded no mercy, and mothers wept over cold, empty cradles. But his grip has not loosened. In Yemen, his spectre returns, war-worn and cruel, where millions fade into shadows, scavenging through dust for food that never comes. Like children lost in a dark fable, they wander a world stripped bare. Famine's reign reveals an aching truth. Scarcity is not fate, but consequence, a wound cut by greed, neglect, and the turning away of eyes. And still, the black steed waits, its rider watching, ever drawn to where hope begins to starve. The fourth seal cracks, and a pale horse lurches forward, its rider cloaked in silence. Emaciated and veiled in shadow, this is death. His eyes twin voids where life forgets its name. His steed, pallid green and trembling, treads a path of rot, trailed by Hades itself, yawning wide behind him. No sword nor scale burdens his hand, his presence alone is enough. In 1665, his breath settled over London, the Great Plague turning hearth and home into crypts. A fifth of the city fell, and the cobbled streets echoed with the rattle of death carts, the cries of the dying swallowed beneath the starless skies. Yet death has never left. His footprints scorch the edge of our age, in warheads buried beneath soil, in oceans turning acid, and in forests silenced by flames. He walks not as punishment, but as certainty, the final shadow that levels king and beggar alike. His is the quietest reign and the most enduring, for where the others gallop in fury or hunger, death merely waits, his pale steed unhurried and his hand ever near, whispering the truth we spend lifetimes trying not to hear. When the horsemen ride together, they do not merely herald an end, they unravel the illusion of order, conquest, war, famine, and death, each a calamity alone, but together a symphony of judgment where history, faith, and fear converge. To the theologian, their arrival is a divine reckoning. In Revelation's pages, they are God's instruments, riders loosed by shattered seals, delivering a world steeped in sin to its rightful collapse. Conquest's crown leads the charge, kindling war's fire, which scorches the earth and sows famine's hunger. Death follows, inevitable and unrelenting. Their ride is not chaos, it is correction, a cosmic balance restored by fire and silence. To the psychologists, they are reflections, not of heaven, but of ourselves. Each rider is born from the soul's fertility, our hunger for power, our surrender to wrath, our indifference to suffering, and our fear of the inevitable. They are projections of inner torment scaled to the world stage. The white horse is the seduction of ambition, the red, the frenzy of violence, the black, the cruelty of neglect, the pale, the acceptance of oblivion. They ride not toward us, but from within us. And to the historian, their hoofbeats echo across time. The fall of Assyria in 1612 BC saw empires clash, cities burn, and a legacy buried beneath blood and dust. In the 13th century, the Mongol horde thundered across continents, their conquest breeding war, starvation, and death in their wake. In Ireland, between 1845 and 1852, famine reaped the harvest of despair deepened by imperial apathy. And in the 16th century Americas, smallpox rode before the conquistadors, wiping out civilizations before swords were even drawn. Each age has heard the gallop, each era has watched them ride. In all three visions, divine, internal, and historical, the horsemen are not distant phantoms, they are cyclical truths. They emerge when ambition loses mercy, when anger becomes doctrine, when need is met with silence, and when death is ignored until it is too late. Together, they are not just an ending, they are a cycle, a mirror, a warning. The apocalypse is not a single moment, it is a pattern we keep choosing to repeat. The horsemen cast a shadow not of endings but of continuance. Conquest, war, famine, death, they do not ride towards us for some distant doom. They are already here, woven into the fabric of our history, summoned not by trumpet's call, but by the toll of human hands. They ride through empires born of ambition and broken by pride, through blood-soaked fields where peace lies buried, and through barren lands where hunger festers and hope turns to ash. And in every silent passing of life, they linger, not as fate, but as consequence. No divine decree alone unleashes them. They are reflections, mirrors held to the face of mankind. Conquest is the price of unbridled desire. War, the echo of hatred unrestrained. Famine, the cost of neglect and greed. And death, the inescapable truth we refuse to face. The apocalypse is not the thunderous end, but a slow unraveling, one choice, one silence, one cruelty at a time. Yet, within their ceaseless march lies a hidden mercy. They are not immutable. They do not reign, but we simply permit them to. Their dominion is not destiny, but a warning. And so, the question remains, not when the horsemen will ride, but whether we will stop saddling their steeds. Thank you for watching.